You are listening to The Sexual Life.
Welcome from Austin, Texas. Steve Maeda here with TSL Podcast, episode 143. We are here in the river. If you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're listening on iTunes, you can definitely watch it on YouTube and all that good stuff. But man, this is an awesome podcast, okay? So number one, it's about getting sexual. It's something that men don't talk about, and it's almost like we can't talk about it, or if we do, it has to be this weird, obscure, like asshole pickup thing. But it's literally one of the most important parts of the puzzle to relationships, to your dating life, to how you talk to women, let alone being a complete man, right? It's an awesome thing. And this is actually an extension of episode 142 where we were talking about how you shouldn't make out in a bar and then on to SNLs and so on. But this is how we get started with getting sexual. What we do, what we say, what we do with our bodies, and all that stuff is actually broken down for you piece by piece at thesexuallife.com/143. Definitely go there. Awesome information. It's broken down for you. There's also some free stuff you can download, but the blog itself, just step by step, everything that we cover in this podcast and more is pretty freaking awesome. Guys, this is about bettering your life in the best possible way. That's why I'm here standing in the river, because I'm about to do some meditation, some Wim Hof breathing, some Wu Chi Fa meditation. And guys, living life and being your best self isn't about being the best at everything. What this is about is finding the greatness within you that allows you to pursue being that best self. Come join me on that journey. Let's listen to this podcast. It's all good stuff, man. And if you like it and you like what we're saying, go to Austin Men's Development. It's our free Facebook group. You can find all that information at thesexuallife.com/143. We'll see you there. Later. Getting sexual, best questions ever. I can answer them all day long because I love it. It's something that distinguishes so much about what we talk about here in our many venues, Austin Men's Development, TSL. And this actually comes from a TSL online call. And we were talking about SNLs and the strategy of it, and it turned into getting sexual. Guys, look, the fundamental most valuable thing that you're going to feel from women, why we want women, why we signed up on the email list, why we want to date them, why we want to do all the crazy things that we want to do, is to know what it feels like to have a woman want you. If you can have that feeling, if you know how to generate that feeling of getting her to want you, to go like, oh my God, I want that guy, before you've done the least, where you've said the least, touched the least, showed the least amount of yourself, to have her want you is fucking awesome. And when you can have that, when you start to do more, when you start to touch more, say more, be with her more, have sex more, have relationships more, and she wants you even more than that, it feels great. That is what we're chasing in femininity. That is the male sex drive. And that's the thing we forget to acknowledge. How do we get that? How do we get that woman to want us? It's interpreted in pickup as to chase and power and to have this desire. And sure, that's a part of it, but we all know the biggest lies have 90% of the truth in them. And that's one of those lies because it gets interpreted as the chase. I mean, the chase feels good, but it's like chase towards society standards or towards, what we think is cool or what our insecurities are. Like we don't have enough attention, so we want attention. But really, what we just want is that feeling of desire coming towards us, uniquely towards us, and only towards us. That's fucking amazing. So let's talk about this because this is super important. All right. The first thing that we need to know, and there's really two, just so you can kind of categorize this in your head, visualize it, however you want to do it, as we're breaking this down, is there's your situation, or we could also call that logistics, but we need the situation. And then there's how do we get sexual? How do we generate that chase, right? So the first thing is that situation. And the situation means we have to be alone. That's straight up it. The best place for anybody to let their sexual expression out is absolutely going to be, hands down, straight up, going to be when they can be alone, when they can be themselves. What woman is going to show something about herself that is encased in so much stereotyping, judgment, self-judgment, issues about safety, all these different things coming together? Why would she show that publicly? She's going to show that, and guys get all confused by this because like, why do women dress up? Why do women dress like sluts? Why do, women try and be so? Why do they dance? Well, they're doing it for other reasons why we would do it, men. And so it's not just to get dudes hard to want to put their penises on them. That might be part of it, right? That might be part of it, but it's for a deeper reason that we don't fully get, right? Or maybe you do get it, but I sure as hell don't. I just know that it happens all the time. And to go up and do the guy thing of just being like, hey, do you want to fuck? Probably isn't going to work for you. So, and there's such a joy in going this other route, right? So the thing is that, man, when we're in a situation where we're in public and those things are happening, like we're at a bar, where we're at a club, maybe we're on a date, but we're in public with people, the ways that we can get sexual aren't going to be with any sort of sex acts. And these are some of the most important things. So our situation is defining that we're in public right now. So there's the situation, remember that category? Yeah, I can talk English here. But there's the situation, and that defines everything, our environment, who's around, those types of things. But we're in a semi-public or in a very public place. So what we want to do is we want to create sexual interactions that build tension, because that tension, as we were talking about in the previous thing that we recorded, is going to propel us more than anything. Okay. So that tension is what's going to move us along. That is the vehicle. That's the vehicle we want to be in. And if the door opens to that vehicle, a lot of stuff can fall out, right? Or if the door opens to that, we need a lot more holding on to keep in that vehicle. So we want to stay in that vehicle of tension. All right. So situation is defining that there's a lot of people around. So no heavy sex acts, no things like kissing, no things that would, where other people see. And that's really the most important thing. Now, other people can see things like heavy touching, heavy petting, those types of things. But why would you even need to do that? That is only really there so that you can kind of validate yourself. It's just such a novelty move, whereas you can touch and do things like getting closer. Super important, very, very important. I'll tell you this, if a girl spends more than 5 seconds in between your legs and close to you, chest to chest or belly to belly, it's more important about the belly part. If she spends 5 seconds in that space, it's a long time. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000. Rush it a little bit. But you get the idea, is that that's a girl who doesn't necessarily want to have sex with you, but she's a woman willing to put herself in sexual tension. And so if I had that experience, it would be like, okay, logistics, how do we get out of here? How do we get to a place where we can have sex and be sexual and let that sexuality fully express? That could be a wrong assumption, but usually it's not. Okay. And that is boom, right there. And I would get that so quick, it nights out. It would just be like, oh, we're immediately switching the game plan. She's in my center line and very close and staying there and enjoying it. Let's go. Doesn't need to talk to anybody else. Again, doesn't necessarily mean she wants me. It means that she's willing to put herself in that situation where I can get her or allow that part of her to want me. Now, the other thing is I would say touch the waist. Don't worry about these erogenous zones like, oh, well, if you touch the small of the back or if you caress the inner arm, those things are all great. You can do it, but it's more of how you touch, pull yourself in. There's plenty of videos on this. You touch the arms, around the shoulders. It's more friendship like, but you can do that too. But that's just more to get attention. It's like, hey, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. This is more like, hey, I want you, I want you, I want you. Arms, hips, waist, get those things to touch, lower bodies to touch, get those areas to stay. Now, when we talk about, because everybody wants to know literal things or things that we could say. Now, things that we could say they have to be done in a certain way. Number one is to tell the secret. One of the things that I would teach early on is when people would be interacting with somebody, if you want to break through right to comfort and comfort or rapport that has a sexual overtone, just be having a normal conversation. Just be like, man, I like, the color red, and, red and blue are really popular colors, and and just say, you know what? I got to tell you something. It's kind of a secret. Then you get yourself in the position that tells the secret, which is up close like this. We were talking about this in the other video. You get cheek to cheek. It's like you're whispering in her ear. Your lips are very close. And you can just say really anything, but I would say something very personal about her unique characteristics. So it could be something that you notice, like perhaps her eyebrows or perhaps her eyes or perhaps how she talks. And you could say something like, you know what? And drop your tonality, get close and just say, man, your voice reminds me of something totally, God, it's awesome. Anyway, back to talking about the colors. And just those little things will help create that tension and create that sexuality and create the language of sex without speaking sex. Now, if you want to get a little bit deeper, where some of the guys that I hung out with, things that I did way back when in like 2006, these were like things that we'd say. First one, that I got from my mentor was he would say to girls, he would just be talking casually to them for 5 minutes in a club venue, bar venue. But you could really say this anywhere. And again, situation beats all, environment beats all. But he would say something after and here's the pivotal moment. Once she knew that he recognized the real her, and once she saw a bit of the real him, and that didn't take much. You can watch some other videos on rapport on that. There's plenty of them. Okay. But once he knew that, which would be about 5 minutes, okay, he would say something like, he'd whisper in her ear, get the secret position, pull her close, maybe touch, maybe wouldn't touch, drop his tonality, kind of look at her, just out of the corner of his eye. And he'd say something like, or he'd say exactly this. He'd say, man, if nobody was here right now, I'd bend you over that pool table and fuck you right now. A lot of guys are afraid to say that, but he would jump that line. It was done in a secret. It wasn't done publicly. When things are said in a secret setting, it means so much more, even though her friends are right there, because it was quiet, because it was there, because it was personal, huge. I remember this other time, my buddy, who I call Mitch, he brought a girl. I was at a strip club with a client, and this guy was in his 40s at the time. He brought a girl on their first date to that strip club. They went and had dinner, and this is what he always did on his dates. And he said, man, we should go to a strip club. My friend Steve's at a strip club. Let's go meet him. So he went to go meet me there. He met me there, and I just remember the girl sitting there. She's like sitting there right next to him, and he's like, and I know what he says. Like I know how that guy acts. He's like whatever to her, and he would say some crazy stuff. I'll give you some of his lines that he would always say that I adopted for myself. And the girl's like, did you hear what he said? And we're like, no, but it was crazy. She's like, oh my God, Jesus. And it was this world that, if you can imagine this, I'm sitting on the outside of the situation watching these two. It was a world within her opening up sexually that only they experienced. But she was allowed to broadcast it to the world. She had the choice. She was empowered. The secret allows that, or the situation of the secret allows that. Another thing that my buddy Mitch would say all the time is he would say like, man, this was crazy. But like when you were just talking like 2 seconds ago about accounting and numbers, you got all passionate about it. It kind of gave me a dirty thought. All right. And so he didn't necessarily get in the secret position, but he made sure he was in the secret situation. Boom. Bumped up right away. This is a guy that I remember. It was so funny. I was at a workshop. This happened twice. I was at a workshop, and there were these two guys. One was actually both were professors, and very high up there professors, and they're watching all this stuff. And this dude, Mitch, was tremendously intelligent. And he just saw this girl walk by. This guy was so good, man. He saw this girl walk by, and he just goes, he's like, that girl just looked at me. And without any hesitation, he just goes, hey, come here. And this guy was so it was creepy, but it wasn't to the girl in front of him. And so she walked over, and he was like, hey, I just saw you walk by. What's your name? So this guy, this professor, these two professors are just watching him. And this other dude was very academically talented. And so they, liked him for that, or could talk about physics and all this shit with him. And they were just like, oh my God. And so he just said, hey, yeah, what's your name? I want to talk to you. They talked for a couple minutes, and she started talking about her life. She's all giggling. She's And so this girl clearly, was ready to go. He didn't need to do much, but he saw it, right? There were hundreds of other guys at that club that didn't see it or didn't make the move with what they saw. And I just remember what he said. I was standing right next to him. He was like, God, when you were talking right there, that kind of turned me on. And she was just like the wetness just seeped out of her body. And they talked for a little bit after that, like maybe 2 minutes. And he was like, let's get out of here. Let's go for a walk down the street. Okay. So it wasn't like, let's go to my place. It was like, let's just get out of this environment to another environment where we can go. Let's go back to my place. All right. So just awesome stuff. Very, very key. Those are some things that you can say that are huge. Other things that you could say are things that I would say all hit with the senses. Okay. So when I would get close, and this could be, so if you're on a date, this could work. I can tell you many variations on a date, but even in a club, I would do this all the time. You talk to somebody 5 minutes, whatever, 20 minutes is too long, but you get to the point where you can sense it. When you get to the end zone a few times, guys, you'll know if this girl wants you or not. And again, look for those cues, like her standing close to you, her responding to your touching in a certain way. That means like pull her to you, grabbing, whatever, the different things that you do, and seeing her melt for a little bit. If she allows that tension and enjoys it, then she probably wants more. But I would say something like, God, I could smell you. Like you just got wet. So I would say things like that. So at first you'd be like, you can smell me, like, oh yeah, like I smell good. But it would be like, I could smell your pussy. Or I would say things even like, I would even joke around and say things like, man, you're like totally a girl that has like, you get way wetter than most girls. So I'd say stuff like that. I'd say like, God, you're like one of those girls. I bet you have like really thick pussy juice. And just immediately, and again, 5 minutes of knowing this girl. Of course, these were in secret modes. Like her friends were around, but it was only her and I having this conversation. Other things that I would say is like, I would say both of these things. I would say like, God, man, you just made me fucking hard. Jesus Christ. Why are you looking down? You like it, Jesus. Or I would say things like, man, I was hard. And why did you just make my dick go soft saying that? And they'd be like, oh my God. Every girl laughs at that. That's Kenny Powers, man. Season 2. There's so many different things where I would just reference those. Now, other things that we would do that are super important is we always hear about in pickup IOIs or SIOIs or whatever the fuck they're called. But we hear about those things. But what we started doing way back in 2006, we would do those to women. I don't know why people don't do this. And I'll show you just really quickly. So I wasn't very good at the lip bite, but you could do the lip bite. You go, oh, and so I'm not good at it. You can tell I'm just like fucking rough with it, but some guys are good with it. When you're talking to a girl, she's talking to you. She could be talking about fucking spelling Mississippi, right? And you could do the lip bite. That's good. Another thing you can do is triangular gaze. But what's more important than triangular gazing is just watch their lips. When a girl is turned on by you and thinking about sex, she's watching your lips. She may triangular gaze, but it's more about just watching the lips. Watch your lips, get transfixed on them. Even bring it up and say like, wow, you have really amazing lips. I forgot what you just said. But watch her lips. Other thing you can do is look out of the corner of your eye. Huge. This is what I would always do. I'd usually go to this side, but I'd be like, oh man, geez, I just fucking hit my goddamn headphone cord. But look out of the corner of the eye. Another thing that we would do while doing this, which was super key, is I'm like maneuvering all around here, is I would talk to her side to side like this. It's just another way to build a secret. We were talking about secret face to face, but another thing, you could just be side to side and like so. That also built this weird sexual tension. Another thing that we would do is play with our hair while we were talking to her, even if you have short hair like me, and just be like, oh man. Or we could just be talking to her and touch our face like so. All these things send a message that in some way we're nervous, we're overwhelmed with some sort of sexual tension, and we're doing what women do. So think about those things, what women do when they're sexually turned on, and you do that to them in conversation in a place where the situation doesn't allow for you to actually get sexual, and the situation is a tension building situation, like in public. Do those things. They're fucking great. And again, those power statements when we get close in that secret mode of like, fuck, I bet you a girl that like, it's another one. Again, say sexually empowering things. These are essentially sexual cold reads. There's some PDF that I wrote about these floating around somewhere, but you could say something along the lines of like, man, I bet you're a girl that like, when you get physical with a guy, you totally dominate him. Or when you get physical with a guy, you totally, like, you make him a bitch. You wear the pants. Or you're the type of girl that when the bedroom door closes, like, you're in charge. Or you're the kind of girl that has a pussy that fucking makes men lose their shit. Or you're the type of girl that you didn't like sucking dick until you realized how much power you had over men with it. So all these different types of things you could say when you're in that secret mode, or even semi-joking with them. Another thing that I'll do, even in public mode, so with their friends around, or more likely if it's a really close friend or to a waitress, but still loud where my friends hear or something, I might be like, oh man, you are the type of girl that like, when you get a dick, like when you make a dick come, you love making that come. And it's kind of a joke. And they laugh, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. And then I'll get intimate and go, well, wait a minute. Come here. I want to ask you something privately. And then I'll get personal about it. So that kind of like helps me, bust in to that sort of mode of the conversation. But so these are ways to, in that public situation, to get sexual. Remember, there's those two things, the situation or the environment or the logistics, and then how do we get sexual? Now, when we're alone, man, when we're alone or we're moving from that public to the alone place, one of the best things that I would do that's still based off of that secret thing, I'd be on a first date with a girl, I'd be in public, or I'd be at a lone place on the date, but I needed to switch to getting sexual. I would just say, look, if we were to have a first kiss, like, where would it be? Again, what's so important about this is she makes the decision. She starts to get involved in it. It plays into the fantasy that women like to have. And plus, I want it to be good. I want her to be herself. I want her to feel the best that she can to have sex with me. I want her to desire me. I want her to want that. If you want to know what that feeling is of a woman wanting you, say this, because I can't tell you how good it feels when I'd be in, let's say, a bar and I'd just turn to a girl and I'd say, look, I know it's our first date, but I like you. I think you like me. I'm not sure, but whatever. You can say whatever you want. But if we were to have a first kiss, if we were to do something really like where would it be? Like, let's go find, we don't have to do it, but let's just like find where it is. We'd go walking, just, oh man, the feeling of walking, of just her getting so excited of going like, oh, where can this is my choice. This is my day. This is my wedding day. This is my thing. This is all that, kissing is more important than sex. All these things that women think about. That's another thing you could say when you're in that secret mode. You're the type of girl, you think kissing or the first kiss is so much better than the first time you have sex. But just walking with her and just knowing that you're that guy, that she's planning all this, how it's going to be passionate for, how it's going to be. And she starts fantasizing about it and so on. And then you get to the spot, and when we get to the spot, and you say, oh, well, so how do you feel? What if I kiss you right now? Or you just go for it or whatever, but it's super easy to do. So that's one of those things publicly, again, that thing, like that thing that you want. Another thing that I might say is like, man, where's your favorite place here? Let's say you're in a town or a city that you're not used to, or she's lived there, or maybe it's a place that you find special. And you say, I want to go to this special spot. I want you to take me there. I want you to do it, or I want to do it for you. And then I want to see what happens. And the key part is that choice. They have to be involved in it. I want to see what happens. Well, I want to kiss you. I just want to feel you more. I just want to be close to you. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to kiss. We don't have to touch. I just want to feel you more. I want to see who you are more. But I want you to do it. Oh man, you got to give that woman the choice. You give her the choice, she will chase. You give a woman an opportunity to be sexual, she will chase you with that sexuality. It does not take much. It does not take much. Sure, you have to be likable. Like you're a guy that, you're fucking up with how you dress or how you talk or you're grooming or whatever, or you just can't socially communicate. Yeah, you got to work on those things first. But it does not take much. So then we talk about when we're in the right situation, when we are alone. Okay, so we're alone. How do we get sexual? We have the situation where we're at her place or your place, which is best to start getting sexual there. If we're in public and we do the thing like the public kiss, like where's the place where we should have our first kiss, then you do have to get sexual again. Make it as relaxed as possible. Make it as chill as possible. Don't make pressure towards sex. That's going to kill it. That's going to open the door to the tension because it's going to be there. So let's say you get alone, you're in that situation, and you go back to her place or your place. And that's key. You have to be in a place where you can completely close. That's the best place literally to start off getting the kiss. And what I would just say is be as casual as possible. Have a normal conversation. Just, oh man, so what do you want to do? Or, blah, blah, blah. Let's make pancakes. Let's do this, da, 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 or whatever it is you're doing, right? You watch TV, all sorts of stuff, whatever you're into at your place. But you could say but the first thing I would do is get close. When it's said, because you'll get some resistance like, well, I don't know. It's like, man, just look, I just want to be next to you. We don't have to do anything. Always, if you put sex on the table, you have to take it off. All right. So if you say, I want to fuck you, you have to say, but I don't have to. So if you say, I want to be close to you, and the tension starts coming up, and that tension's purely about her having sex with you, her having a bad reputation, you doing this to everybody, all these different things that she will say to you, you then say, but we don't have to do anything. I just want to be next to you. Now, what you're trying to go for there is I want you to show me what you're feeling. I want you to do to me what you're feeling, and you can. That's what this whole game or whatever is about. And it's really not a game because it's going to give you the most amount of pleasure. So you can say something like, hey, I want you to just feel comfortable with me. Here, I want you to feel next to me. Well, how do you feel? Why are you holding that back? Well, I like you, but, well, wait a minute. You're thinking about all this stuff about what I think, and don't worry about that. Look, do you like me? We're both adults. We can voice ourselves, but don't get in the way of your feeling. If you want to feel next to me, feel next to me. I'm just comfortable watching TV. Okay, let's watch that, but why not watch it next to me? Like, I like that. That doesn't mean that it has to put you in a bad spot. So that's a little bit more. Those things will never happen. I just have clients that are like, but what if they say this? What if they say that? Usually by then, when a woman gets that opportunity, she will, God, open up in so many different ways, right? And so that's really what we want to learn in seduction. How do we get a woman to allow herself to be herself? And then this whole crazy, awesome world comes out that truly completes you as a man. It makes you fucking feel goddamn good. So the thing is that we want that to happen. So here's how generally things play out. The first kiss can be a little bit rough. If I can't get it, so normally I can get it with just like, man, I just keep looking at your lips. Let's just kiss and see what happens, or whatever. I mean, I'll get the kiss, but sometimes it can be a little bit rough. So where I'll have to, like, my go-to move, if everything fails, if I just can't break towards it, is I either jump in and go for it and just say, like, come here, and really, aggressively go for it. Because there's that awkward moment sometimes. It happens, that 1 out of 10 times. Or I'll go to see if they're ticklish and get in the cheek-to-cheek position and go for it. But generally, the kiss will manifest itself, very simply, and just, you can be like, man, I wonder what kind of kisser you are. You have really thin lips. You have very thick lips. Like, God, the way you talk, I can tell you're a good kisser. So many just different ways to walk into it. And so you go for that kiss. The moment of the kiss, and we talk about this all the time in seduction, the moment of the kiss, there's going to be a point of resistance. Okay. So that resistance always comes when you press a little bit harder and she gets carried away with it, or she gets carried away. It's like, oh, and you go, oh, and then she's like, wait, stop. I don't know. I don't do this all the time. This is where you need to start getting into those modes of saying things. Remember when we were in the public spot and we were talking about the secret, man, fuck, I want you, or whatever it is, like if I bend you over right now and fuck you over that pool table, or whatever it would be, like you just turned me on, you made my dick hard. This is where you have to start having those secret moments. Once again, it's the same kind of voicing where it's like, fuck, I could fucking smell you. My dick is dripping cum. Like, Jesus Christ, you should feel how hard my dick is. Like, God, look at this. Look at what's through my pants. You're doing that to me. So there's a couple things where I'm going to get graphic about the sexual nature. Now, this is me. I'm very good at it. My friend Mitch, he tried some of this stuff. Now, he's very good at what he does. But I remember, like, I would always talk about, like, get them to say cock, or say, like, do you want to make that cock come? This is so awesome. He's like, Steve, I tried that. And I was with this girl, and he would date this guy. Like, it's always dating tons of women. So he's like with one of his girlfriends. He was dating 3 at the time, and she was like fucking him or something. And I looked at her and I said, do you want to make that cock come? And she just broke and was like, why did you say it? And this was a girl he was already fucked a lot. So she was used to a certain side of him. And she was like, why did you say that? Like, did you like read that somewhere? It just made me laugh. But I say that all the time, right? It's like, fuck, you want to make that come. But I say that from day one. So I'll get graphic with things. I'll talk about scents. I'll talk about desires. It'd be like, man, you can feel that in your tits. Can you feel that in your pussy? Can you feel your heartbeat in your pussy? All these different things when I'm in that mode where I break through the resistance. So, what would happen, I'd make out, the tension builds too much. She stops and I say, hey, look, we don't have to do anything. Like, and then back to secret mode. But look, just kiss me how you want to kiss me. I want you. I want to feel you. I want you to do that. Like, I want to see how you play. Right. And so that would come into play. She would take action. I'd be, oh, fuck, man, look at that. Fuck, I can smell you're fucking wet as fuck. Like, you drive people wild to that. Oh, geez, I don't even want to touch it. I don't even want you because, like, I might like it too much. I might get carried away. Like, Jesus Christ, I'm just going to fucking jerk off. Do you want to see that? You want to see that? See how big my fucking head gets for whatever, so all these types of things, like graphically talking about it, like I can smell it, I can see it. The other thing I'll say, which might even be impossible, but they're things that women have said to me. It's like, I could see the cum building up in the head of your dick. It was like, wow, that doesn't happen, but the head of your dick does get bigger. So now I'm just going to say it to all the girls that I have sex with. It's like, fuck, look at all the cum going into the head of my dick. And they're like, oh my God. Or it would be like the cum in my balls are starting to move. Like they're building up. They're fucking swelling, like all this sort of stuff, which may or may not happen. But what I'm talking about is their ability, their femininity their sex, the thing I saw of them, whether it was the what I got from rapport, their essence, their sexual drive, that part of them is making this happen to me. And it's making this happen to my dick and this happen to my cum. The fucking essence of our sex. It is changing me. I'm not getting all in depth into my masculinity and how it makes me a man. You can say all that shit after, right? But it's like, no, this is fucking making me fucking go nuts, man. And this actually came about where I was hooking up with this girl way before pickup. It was like the fucking 5th girl I ever had sex with. And it was right before I got involved in pickup. And we're swimming. We're in a lake. And she's like, I can smell you. I can smell your dick. And I'm like, you can't smell my dick. But I was at least smart enough to go like, I can fucking smell you. Oh my God. And I just saw her face just go fucking crazy. So these are all things that are huge and they're all based off of that secret. But notice the difference in the situation where it's public, that secret has to be a little bit more subtle. Sure, you might be saying sexual stuff, but here in this other situation where we're alone, it's like, fuck, you have the opportunity to, Jesus Christ, I'm out of control. Your femininity is driving me out of control. God, it's amazing. Like, do you like getting my dick hard? Do you enjoy doing it? Are you the woman that loves making me out of control? You're turning me into something that is a little boy. You're turning me into something that I can't control. You have that power of femininity. When you think about this and you talk about women on the later side, like how we're talking now, is when you think about a woman, man, she, like men, characteristically stronger, bigger, more powerful, whatever, like more muscle. And and they're smaller, a lot of times frail. The power of a woman, the power to give life, the power of the mother, the power of the womb, the power of the earth, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, all this sort of shit, can take all of that, take all of it. The pussy takes the pounding. The woman's body takes the pounding. The woman's body is ravaged by the man, and she can transform that into the point where he comes and calms. Her sexuality, her force, her femininity, her sex, her vehicle, her ability to put her sex on you or accept your sex being put on her is able to dismantle all that power. That's what you talk to women about in rapport. And they'll be like, oh my God. But that's true concept. So when you're thinking about that, it's like, God, your sexuality is bringing the animal out of me. It's fucking crazy, but I can control that animal unless you want it. In real-time application, it's like, oh my God, you're making me fucking want. But it's all right. It's all right. I can be a gentleman. Man, I want my dick hard, but I only want it to be hard if you like it. But you like it, right? You like my dick being hard. Fuck, I want to come. I want you to touch my dick. Okay, you don't want to, like, we don't have to do that. Only if you like it. But you'd like it if just spit on it. You'd like it if your hand touched that. God, like, oh my God. Then as soon as her hand touches, oh, Jesus Christ. Oh God, look what you make me. God, I haven't felt this way before. Oh God, man, like, you're too much. I just want to fucking grab you. I remember sitting in front of a woman. It was one of the most beautiful moments. God, I wish I could like repeat it. It's so awesome. Like, it's so great. But this is the beauty of the individuality of the sex. Is I remember sitting there and we were so built up with tension. Me and this girl, we hadn't had sex. It was so built up and, you know, fucking raging, both of us. And I was just like, man, I got to stop myself because I might want you too much. And she was like, then you can have me. And it was just such an awesome feeling. This is where we want to get to with men. So how do we get there? First, we look at our situation. Okay, our situation is it public or is it private? Okay. And then a couple of things in public, we want to get close all the time. All the time we want to get close. We want to, touch in certain ways. We don't want to do any sexual acts that kill the tension. We want to build the tension when we say things they're in secret. And secrets can be sexual or they can just have the feeling of sexuality. So they can say things like, man, you have a beautiful smile. But because they're close, they build that sexual tension. Or they can say things like, God, man, take that line when you were talking about whatever 2 subjects ago and you got all into it, it kind of gave me a dirty thought, money, or other things where you're just going like, God, man, I can't believe you just said that. You just made my dick go soft. And then you can go into the more private sexual intimacies. Like, no, but you like dick. You'd be a fucking lesbian if you didn't like dick so much. Your favorite position is from behind. You like your fucking ass slapped, your hair pulled, and like, God, don't tell me you're one of those girls that like, do you just have too many guys where you can only come when you're on top? Whatever. You say all these different things, which are very true for people, and you can joke about them, but they're there to get that intimacy secret mode. You can do the stuff where you get sexual in public, like the kiss thing, but more importantly, when you get in the situation when you're alone, that's when you got to start. Get the kiss. You're going to hit that tension. You're going to hit the resistance. Once you get past that form of resistance, where it's like you go for the kiss and they stop you, like, well, do you do this with everybody? I got to call my friend. You don't even know me. I don't do this with you. Probably think I do, all this sort of shit, right? Once you get past that resistance, which is very easy, which I broke it down in this video, but you can watch tons of videos on that as well. That's when you start getting graphic. The secrets start being about your sex, meaning how it makes you feel, your dick, your cum, and her role in how that all interacts. That's going to be money. That's like the psychology of sex. And you want that to happen. If you do that, man, even if the hookup's fast, you don't need rapport. So few men, this is the hack, so few men have tapped into that part of her sexuality that you now have that individual thing. She may have slept with, geez, man, look at my wife. She had sex with a lot of people. First time she had sex with me, she was going like, dude, this guy was too much. He was too intense. I'm never going back. But came back and kept coming back because I was that intense. That's how you have the golden dick. The problem with that is 4 or 5 years later to maintain that golden dick. That's another feat. But when you have that, it's just because so few guys know how to do this. They drop the ball, and you can have sex with a woman very quick, no rapport. And of course, have rapport. I love having rapport. It's fucking great. And just get a woman, that beauty of her sexuality, to chase you, want you, desire you, because that's going to give you fulfillment of a man, and that will make you stop needing to confuse it. See, when you're a real man that's really having sex, you realize there's something wrong with all the people who are just talking about it and who are, jerking off of the body or conceptualizing sex. But when you're really having that sort of sex, you stop desiring the social attention, the need for adoration and all those things, or you see them for what they are, they're good for what they are, and you have them for what they are, but they're not a component in who you are as a man with a dick and balls that was made to make a woman feel like a woman, in the way that biology made us be.
When you're finally alone in an intimate situation, you've got to be clear about your sexuality and express it in so many different ways. And one of them is what you say. I'm not fully hard, but I can feel that first little drop of pre-cum coming out. And it's you. It's because of you. It's for you. Maybe you'd like to taste it. But that's when you're alone. But out in public, it's still so easy to express sexuality and intention. When you get that moment where I want to tell you a secret, get in there. It's not about the secret. It's get in close enough that she can feel your breath on her ear, that she feels the vibrations of your voice and starts to feel your body heat and gets your scent, and you're getting all the same things. And with all that going on, do you really think it matters what you say? If you get in there, get up in her space, get close enough that she feels your breath on her ear, you could read her the dictionary. You could recite poetry. It wouldn't matter what you fucking say. As long as it's not 3 or 4 words and you pull back. You're in the sweet spot. Once you get up in that personal space and she feels your breath and actually literally feels the vibration of your voice, stay there and talk about any fucking thing. You could recite poetry and pull back and say, that's from some 14th century Italian poet, but it's so intimate that I just couldn't say it out loud to anybody. I had to. And oh, by the way, while you're doing this, where are your hands? You mean you don't have a hand around her waist pulling her hip in against you? And right about there, you're going to get that little twitch, that little shiver that women get when they get wet. And you're in public, you're surrounded in a crowd. but you just made her wet. There's so many times that it doesn't matter what you say. You're expressing sexuality, you're expressing intimacy, even in public. But when you do get alone and intimate, you better be ready to say what your sex is about and why. She's the one that it's directed at. That's what I got.
Yeah, no, it's like super important to bring all that up because, I mean, there's so many reasons, but it's so important because the situation, the closeness situation is really the most, that's what people should be practicing. And you're right to bring it up, Jim, is because you've got to learn how to do that more than learn how to, you have to be good enough at talking to get there rather than talk somebody into fucking you. You have to be good enough at talking to get close and get yourself in those situations. All right.
I think my premise is that if you can get up in the sweet spot where you're in each other's space and you have that intimacy and that sensuality, the multiple levels of sensuality going on, it really doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter. And something will happen. Most women won't understand what it is, but he did something. And even as relationships get older, if you take that opportunity to walk past and just stroke the inside of her arm, it's an expression without words. There's just something about being up in somebody's space that changes everything. And if you can work that intimacy, that sensuality, then at that point it really doesn't matter what you fucking say. You can be talking about anything.
And there we have it, guys. Episode 143 in the books. I hope you are enjoying your day. Man, go to thesexuallife.com/143 and download all the good stuff. And if you want to get involved with what we're doing, there's so many free points. I just want you to do it, man. I want you to have a good sex life. I want you to have good relationships. I want you to function. The getting women, the dating women, the being a sexual dude doesn't mean you have to be some bad guy, man. You can improve yourself in all these different ways. And, that's why I'm here in the river, immersing myself, doing my cold therapy, my Wim Hof stuff, and my Wu Chi Fa meditation. But I hope you guys are having a great day. Man, engage with us at the Austin Men's Development Board. And I guess that's all I got to say, which is kind of a bummer because I'm always saying a bunch of stuff. Talk to you guys soon. And, man, don't forget to be social, be sexual, and live your life.